Hello, welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's video, we're looking at another very fun mod, and if you have not seen this already on the Steam Workshop page, these are called the Simple Laser Multitools, which are, well, these lovely things currently attached onto this poor little ship I found. So what these are basically all the tools melded into one, where you can toggle between them by a simple click of a button. If I zoom the camera all the way away, and say hit left mouse button, what's going to happen is, if I actually activate them, we're now going to get a massive beam, 100 meters for the small block version, 300 meters for the large block version, where we can now switch between all the colors and change their functionality. So we've got then yellow for drilling, we then got red for welding, and then we got green for grinding. It is a little bit confusing with the grinding and welding, because you would have thought the welding up would have been green and the grinding would have been red, but hey ho, that's not my choice. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to play around with it first of all, then we're going to go through the build cost, and of course what it looks like, and all of that. So grabbing hold of my character, coming all the way up to this asteroid, we're going to flip this over to the drill, and now we're going to start to drill up this surface. It still functions the same as a regular drill, where the left mouse button will make a small hole, collect up everything up, then the right mouse button will make a very big hole. So we're going to start off with the left mouse button. So bearing in mind this has got a massive range compared to the vanilla drill, it might be considered a little bit of cheating because of it, but here we go, we now just drill all the way through this asteroid, we now move this thing around, it's exceptionally smooth as it goes along the surface of the asteroid, and of course we switch it over to the right mouse button, we now easily deform this, get it into the shape we want, and even say very easy hollow out a section to build a base on the inside. It's an absolutely incredible tool, and a lot of fun to play with, even if you're just sitting there like I am right now, just watching it deform all the textures. Anyway, yes, going back to the left mouse button, getting a bit closer, sitting still slightly, and in fact putting the light on the ship, we now drill all the way through up to 100 meters, we're going to collect everything up and put it inside the drill, and of course once we're done, once we're ready, I'll then stop drilling, we won't actually give you any feedback that has stopped drilling, and well, you just have to listen out through to stop making any noise, like it is right now. Anyway, stopping that, pressing I, coming into here, and actually finding our drills. So there we are, we can see these small drills can hold up to 48.6k, which is quite a lot of resources, to the point that you probably don't even need to have any containers on your ship if you're having one of these drills. Let's now just come across over to this section, start making a very big hole, just holding it down, sitting still once again. And that should do quite nicely, we're not going to go all the way, but now driving all the way up to it with this poor little ship, we can just about, whoop, bumped into it. Moving down slightly, we can just about fly all the way through to the sheer size this thing can drill, and just a lot easier than having to drive all the way up to an asteroid and having to wedge your ship all the way through an asteroid if you want to make a tunnel. It does always help with not making a piston system, because it can make things overly complicated with your design, taking up a lot of PCU if you're on a very restricted server, and I cannot for the life of me get this thing out the hole. There we go. But yes, as for the drilling itself, that's all it does. So now what we've got to do is switch over to the grinder and the welder, and we're going to try this out on a big old ship, which I think I know the perfect one to actually try it on. And here we go, what I've done is spawned in the good old Albatross, but what I've got to do first of all is hop out of this and actually pull out the resources, because one of the little bugs that I have found with this is once it's full up, it'll tend to bug out a little bit and not function correctly. As in, if I was to use this to grind up the ship, what's going to happen is it's going to oddly ignore certain blocks and take its very sweet time in actually grinding stuff up, unless of course I was to empty out both of these, which is what I'm going to do right now. So here we go, I've now emptied them out, left mouse clicking, dragging it across the surface of the Albatross. It's slightly damaged already because I have been testing it out a bit earlier, and just simply copied and pasted the wrong thing, but look at how quickly this thing is tearing up all those steel blocks. It would have come up to that turret right there, that's now gone, across to this, that's now gone, all the way over to these thrusters, they are now gone, then switching over to the right mouse button to make a very big hole. We are now just tearing through this ship very, very quickly. And I suppose now I think about it, if we combine the sheer grinding speed with the sheer range of this thing, especially the large block version which goes up to 300 meters, you could turn this into a functional turret, have it around your base, have it around your ship, have it to target enemy guns, then say when one enemy ship comes within range, you can have this swing across to it, grind it all up within an instant, that's lickety split with that, and now it's all gone, and now you've got a sitting duck flying towards your base. And yes, we'll now switch over to the welder, there it is, left mouse clicking, going across all the stuff we now grinded up. Look at how quickly that now just welds all the way up so much faster than the vanilla grinder. In fact, we come around to these back plates, which are by default not built up. There we go, we're now all fully built up with them, just quickly just flicking the camera all the way over it builds it up basically instantly, which is very impressive stuff. Then of course we can do the right mouse button to make it a very big area. Swing it across to this area. Then over to this massive hole that I made in the middle. There we go. And with that, that's basically it for all this mod has to offer. So one thing to do before we end this video and before I end it on a very big note is I'm going to hop out of this, come into the G menu and find it in here. So finding our block tools, there it is right there. So switching over to the small block version, we can see there's 100 steel plates, 25 construction components, 6 large steel tubes, 1 computer and 2 power cells. Comparing that to the standard drill, and of course all the other ones, it's not too bad if you were to combine these all together. It's roughly the same cost, although this is slightly more expensive, which is perfectly reasonable considering what I can do. The moving across the large block version, there we go. We see it now comes up 300 steel plates, 40 construction components, 12 large steel tubes, 5 computers, and 10 power cells, with the power cells being the most annoying part to build this. Comparing it to the large drill, there we go, it's actually not too bad compared to the large drill. In fact, it's almost identical if it wasn't for the power cells and the motors on the drills. But yes, as for that, that's the cost. And of course the model itself is basically like the vanilla welder, where instead of having only one welding point on it, we then got 2 with a split in the middle, and instead of having the points on the end, we instead have these little holes, which is where the beams are going to shoot out. Here's one final thing to do before we actually go and do something very silly, is grab a hold of my character, not that one, come back into the cockpit, into the eye menu, because there are a few custom controls to actually go through before I end this video, where down here we can see our changing mode, where we can change it to welder, grinder and drill. Down to here is to change your action, which is primary and secondary, where your primary is your left mouse button, where you do a very small area but collect up very quickly, with your secondary being your right mouse button, where you do a massive area, be collect up or work a lot slower. So you can flick these over depending on what you want to do, when you were to say activate this and have them automatically work. Anyway, right down to here we then got draw, where what this is going to do is basically give you a glorified laser sight showing the exact radius and range of your drill before you actually start to do any work with this mod. So turning this on with the primary, that's what we get. With the free camera all the way over, that's simply what it looks like. So this is the area of our left mouse button, where we can see exactly what it's going to do. So we're being extremely precise, where we don't want to say collect up a certain amount of resources, we want to simply clear out the stone all the way around it. We can now precisely do that and see exactly what we're doing without having to do any kind of guesswork and without doing anything that we don't want to do. Also very handy when welding stuff out on your ship, on your base, because if you want to have parts that are not welded up, just for decorative purposes, it makes it very handy to avoid hitting them with this mod. Anyway, zooming away there, that's simply what it looks like from a distance. And now coming back into the eye menu, and coming all the way down, switching this over to secondary, where it's gone. There it is, down here onto secondary. That is the secondary beam radius, where it does seem to be a little bit bugged, because it's coming out the rear of the ship. But this is the range of it, which is bloody impressive. That's now going to go all the way through, and over to this section right here. So that's a much bigger area, and makes it very efficient for while collecting up resources. It might make it a bit more problematic when grinding through your ship or grinding through your base, depending on what you don't want to hit. Anyway, turning that off, and back into here, keep coming to the cockpit for some odd reason. But yes, turning off the draw, putting that down to primary, there we go. So yes, for our last two options, what we got are, well, basically safety measures to make sure you don't do stuff that you don't want to do. So down to here, we've got options to turn on and off what this mod will actually function on. So we can make sure it doesn't affect our own grids, we can make sure it doesn't affect friendly grids, neutral grids, or hostile grids. So we can turn off all of these. And there we go, now the mod will not affect any neutral grids or friendly grids, so I can only use this now on enemy grids, which is what I want to do if I want to set this up as a weapon. If I don't want to use it on enemy grids because it is a bit cheaty to use as a weapon, I can now switch this off and simply have it on neutrals, maybe friendlies, or my own stuff if I want to do it like so. Which is a very handy thing to have, like I said, for a safety measure. And then down here is the ultimate safety measure, which is always very useful for mods like this, especially on any mods where you can accidentally do stuff that you don't want to do. And that's of course to change the color to make sure it can only function on certain colored blocks. So you set it in here, there we go. Now any grid you paint with this color will now be affected by this mod, and then any other colors on the grid, like say you had some blue on there, will not be affected by this mod and will simply be ignored by the drill, by the grinder, and by the welder. I'm not too sure why it'd be ignored by the drill because it can't actually do any damage to the blocks, but hey hoo, there you go. And with that, one final thing to do with this video is to go overboard with this and see how fast we can deconstruct the Albatross by making a giant wall of this mod and hoping the game doesn't crash. And here we go to finish off this video. What I've done is made a massive wall of the multi-tools. Where if I hit the left mouse button, look at that, look at the sheer number of beams coming out of all of that. It's very trippy just to move the camera all the way through. Look at that. Wow, okay. Of course we can change the colour, there's green. That looks even better, look at that. And there is the yellow. I think the green looks the best. But now what I'm going to do is grab hold of my character, come all the way up to this albatross. Now I'm going to come over to the grinder. There it is. Now we're going to grind it all up. And yes, I did have to attach on quite a lot of reactors on here, quite a lot of gyroscopes to make this work. But here we go, in 3, 2, 1. And there we are, we're now going to start to grind up. It seems like it's having a bit of problems actually doing it. As you saw there, it seemed like it needed to think a little bit before it actually started up. But now we are very, very quickly just absolutely annihilating this thing. In the third person view, look at that go. Switching to the right mouse button. Oh my god, look at that go. Now just swing across to the back. There we are. We're getting heavier and heavier. Although I think we are now completely full up. It's going to delete all of that. It's absolutely annihilating this thing. Look at it go. Look at those blocks at the back there, those large hydrogen tanks. They are now absolutely gone. All those trusses, all the conveyors, all those steel blocks, completely gone. Now over to here, removing these final parts. And there we go. So that's basically the albatross completely deleted. In fact, you know what? Let's go and actually completely delete it. Because it doesn't feel right to leave all the little parts just floating around. So yeah, that's now all gone. All those little bits are gone. Then run towards the back there, final parts. And there we are. The albatross has been utterly deleted, where nothing is remaining. And I suppose for good measure, let's come across to the drill, and now do this to the asteroid. Oh my god, my ears, that's bloody loud. But now we're just going to keep going through this asteroid. Look at that go, switching it all the way up. And there we are, that's now just completely deleted it. Although not as impressive as deleting that whole ship. But yes, like I said, that's pretty much it for this mod. It's very self-explanatory what it does, it's very fun to use. A little bit on the cheating side of things due to how quickly it does function, and how easy it is to use. Then again, it is a lot of fun to use, and would prove very useful on very compact designs, or for very large ships that can't go up to an asteroid, let alone go through an asteroid, clear up all the resources. So there'll be a link to it in the description below, do just download and play around it yourself. I highly recommend you do, as well as a link to the Skybox I'm currently using, and I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.